What's up, my archfiends of chaos? This is your gaming chaos gamer. Let's go. Let's get into this video. I'm going to talk about the remakes of games and why I'm going to defend it. Now, just to start off with the character design, they're going to be ultra realistic based off of realism, because most of the new age games that came out on PS4 and PS5, graphics gotten extremely realistic. So they're going to have realistic models like they have with Tifa being a little smaller. I'm not going to say on which size, because, well, YouTube doesn't like that kind of stuff, but don't like that kind of talk. But besides that, you know, and Cloud getting slightly bigger muscles, which makes sense, because you're not carrying a giant sword with skinny ass twig arms. I'm just going to say that, buddy. You're not. But they have to come up with a realistic looking build for the characters based off the new gaming, because all the new games are coming with these Unreal. Everyone's using Unreal Engine, except for like certain type of games. But those certain type of games stand on their own. I'm talking about like story-based games, even stuff like Elden Ring and stuff like that that are Souls-based are using the Unreal Engine. You know, so almost all the new games come out with Unreal Engine, so that's why they look the way they do. So they're gonna come up with some realistic. Look, let's be honest. Tifa being a martial artist, you're not gonna want certain, you know, potatoes in your way when you're practicing martial arts. But you know, besides the character designs, we also, I think, as a group, as should accept that these games aren't made for us anymore. We grew up, we got jobs, you know, and stuff like this. Are for the new kids to get into this stuff, to get into the medium. And the two candidates I'm going to be talking about, because they do get a lot of criticism, they do get a lot of love too, but I'm only focused on the criticism. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake are the two games I'll be talking about when it comes to the remake syndrome and why they do what they're doing. As you know, it's kind of hard, it's scarce to make a new IP because you don't know if it does very well. I mean, the only one thing that's ever done pretty well that's a new IP would be like Cyberpunk or something like that. But other than that, it's very hard to make a new IP when now nostalgia has taken over. And there's a lot of nostalgia and some of these titles. You know, nostalgia has been an easy cash grab. I mean, look how many times they bought Dragon Ball Z back. Look how many times we just bringing back the old 90s and stuff like that. You know, and then the Pokemon remakes too. And I ain't talking about the ones on the DS. I'm talking about like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. So it's very easy cash grab to make these remakes. And I agree to some degree it may come off a little soulless, but you know, it does introduce a new generation to the stuff that we've been playing for years and decades, you know. So they can go back, hopefully they go back to the original and play those. But I personally think that, you know, it's good for that reason right there. I like the reasoning for making remakes. I don't think they should have you know, I don't think they should be forced to just only make remakes and that's it. I do want newer games, even with original IPs or different IPs. I still would like the remakes just to see what it plays like and stuff like that. And it's something to keep by the time until something new comes out. So I do like it for that reason. Although when you overly do something for so long, people will get tired of it. And understandably so. You know, Now, the other things with the remakes that people criticize about is the new takes on the stories, the character deconstruction, and changing the character slightly. And there's reasons for that. It's a remake. You're remaking the source material. You're turning so you're gonna have to switch. It can't be a frame by frame. I don't constitute a remake as a frame by frame. A frame by frame would be a remaster. If you take something but higher quality stuff, like I don't count the Crisis Core remake as an actual remake, even though it is part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake universe. I call it as a remaster because it used the same script, and some of the same situations happen like the original game. A remake is where you take the IP, even just little small changes makes it different. Small chapters that weren't in the original games, character introductions. As for like anyone who's played Resident Evil 4, Sadler does come a little earlier, just like Nemesis does. But just like how it is with Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, it does kind of hurt the mystery of these characters, and, at least in my generation. But then again, if you already create an IP and these are some popular characters, they're going to want to throw it out there just so people could get ka-ching, throw money at it. And like I said, we really live in a huge capitalistic society. So it's really more about making money than it is anything else. So that's why Sephiroth comes earlier. That's why Sadler comes early in the Resident Evil 4 remake. So it does kind of hurt the mystery of the big, powerful, big bad. I understand that. But you also got to understand, too, we live in a day and age of kids using TikTok, Gen Z using TikTok, so short attention spans are a big thing right here, so you're going to have to go quickly with their stories. Even though, yes, the remake stories is like a Lord of the Rings trilogy where it's in huge parts, still, you got to make all those episodes go quickly. Not, or at least have a decent pace. It's not like how back in the 90s and stuff like that, or when the games originally come out, when people had at least a little bit longer attention span, so you could drag things out. I mean, hello, we grew up in the 90s watching Dragon Ball Z, and 5 minutes in the Namek saga with Frieza was actually 4 or 5 episodes at least. But kids these days have shorter attention spans. They're not going to want to sit for a little long time. And I guess I can't blame you. I mean, if you have TikTok and you're watching TikTok constantly, your short attention span is going to die off. I mean, certainly mine has a little bit. So I understand we want to get to the point as well. So it's like, and that's where I defend these remakes. I defend not just these specific remakes of every other game that has came out by far. As I understand, they want to get to the point because if you're gonna make games for the new generation, the new kids that's playing these games, you're gonna want to keep them interested and invested. So getting to the point real quick is better. That's why right now even TikTok was beating out even Twitch and stuff like that for that same reason. It's because our attention span gets shorter and shorter. So getting to the point is very good. So that's that's something I applaud the remakes for. But what I also like the remakes for is that the backstory. There was backstory in these games that there weren't in the original. Like Resident Evil 4, where we got Leon's complete backstory. You got hints to what Sadler has, and this, mind you, I've played all the way the Resident Evil 4 remake. I only watched some streams, but you can actually learn more about Sadler in the Resident Evil 4 remake. As well as also, I like the backstories in Final Fantasy VII Remake with the characters that's dragged out and understandable. So it's like, you get more backstory of the characters, so you start getting invested in a character and start caring for the characters that you play as, or that's in your party, or the characters you interact with the most. Is that you get there's a reason. Now it's like, okay, that's clicking. As they couldn't do in the original, because the original games these came out, they just had to put out a product and that's it, and hope to God it's suitable. Even after thousands of changes in the original, now people that are gamers now, they want something higher quality. They want something that, even if it takes us a week to wait or a month to wait, that's why the games get pushed back a whole lot now too, because we expect more. We expect not only for us fans of the original stuff that says, okay, hey, you gotta have this because I remember this in the original, but then the new age people that want to know who these characters are. And it's like, okay, why is this character thinking like this, or talking like this, or behaving like this? Now we got a reason and everything, because now you got extended story in these remakes that you didn't, you didn't get in the original. So it adds continuity to it. So it makes sense. Not only that, but you had to put some modern day stuff in it. Most of the other things that's a complaint to remakes is that I always hear, and this is from people, from grifters like the Quartering and Geeks vs Gamers and people like that, that, oh, it gets a little too woke. It's too woke. Again, these games are made for the new generation. They're not made for us anymore. We have to move on. Now we're welcome to play these new revisions of the games we played before. Where, we can do that. It's cool, but just understand that these games are being made for the new generation of people, the new generation of gamers that are upcoming. It's not made for us 90s kids anymore who grew up on the N64, PlayStation 1 era. It's no longer for that anymore. Even past 2005, when we were middle school and still played some games, where it's far past our time. So they're trying to get the new generation to play. So integrating real world situations is actually something that's actually smart, considering the fact is everyone is talking about woke something, or talking about some kind of, everyone's on the same subject of politics and stuff like that. So integrating some of the politics and some of these original IPs isn't really bad, on the fact that, hot topics get put in there. Everything is a product of its time. So it makes sense. And Final Fantasy and Resident Evil games in general have political bases in them, as well as religious bases too. So, they're not really shy to mature themes, so it's not really technically woke for those two series to have something that makes you think, because they all do. Like Final Fantasy X, that made you question religion, because, all the bad guys were religious zealots. And it's like with Resident Evil 4, you're fighting religious evil zealots. Final Fantasy VII, you're fighting the giant corporation that's trying to look for the promised land, but, using greed and corruption to control everybody. So it's like, it's not really surprising to have political bases. I think, to be honest, it's smart, because it's, adds hot topics to some of these new gamers that want to talk about. Plus, those games in general are always politically based. People just didn't pay attention. We only call something woke because we get uncomfortable with hearing stuff. But if you're open-minded to understand what's going on, even plot-wise, and it's done tastefully. I will say, if it's done untastefully, then there's a difference. But there's a difference between that than just putting semblance of what's happening in the real world. But, there's a difference in character assassination, and then there is to putting something, putting some real world stuff in our art, because, reality makes art. Reality creates art, if you think about it. So when people go around saying woke this and woke that, they're not really understanding that, we're not shy to put that stuff in our media. And I think as a corporation stuff, and as a company, an entertainment company, I think that's very smart to do. Like I said, the idea is to grab attention for the new generation, but also put some love for the older generation who like the original as well. But mostly, realistically, it's just it's the cash grab, and that's really what it is. So, but those are reasons why I defend remakes and stuff. And may the crystal be with you. Tell me what you think in the comments about remakes. If you like them, you don't like them. what they could change, what they could do better. Let me know. Like us to scribble. Let's go. May the crystal be with you. May the crystal bless your path.